How are you guys? Welcome back to Wargaming China. As you know what this channel is about. It's about toy soldiers and using them and wargaming to platform my understandings of the War of Resistance in China against Japanese aggression from 1931 to 45, or just the War of Resistance. And what we're looking at here is an armored train that I built myself. Now, just going to give you a brief introduction to armored trains in China, and then talk about my armored train in particular. Now, following the Russian Civil War, the end of the Russian Civil War, the most famous armored train of all, the Orlik, and its Czech crew found themselves in Vladivostok, awaiting a ship home. And after much negotiation, the old marshal, Zhang Zuolin, procured the Orlik for his services. And in the coming years ahead, he, as well as his sidekick, Zhang Zongchang, the dogmeat general, would expand armored train warfare, or warfare on the rails, in China. And so in 1922, as I said, when the Russian Civil War ended, is when, look at my notes here, is when the Orlik passed into the old marshal's hands, as well as thousands of white Russian soldiers who, went into the service across the borders into China and took up service with various warlords, the old marshal and Zhang Zongchang in particular. Now, in 1926, the dogmeat general became officially Taishun, or governor of Shandong province, and in his capital Jinan, he quickly gave orders that the Tianjin-Pukou railway workshop begin production of armored trains. Now, his main right-hand man in this was Nikolai Merkulov, a Russian, and they kind of standardized what we would know as white Russian armored trains in China. And the first armored trains found anywhere in China were just, exemplarized flat cars with armored plate and sandbag production. But that, as I said, other than the Orlik, it was only the dogmeat general himself who began production of his own design of armored trains, working with Merkulov. Now, all the other generals, all the other warlords were also busily trying to get armored trains built. Wu Peifu, the Kuomintang, the nationalist government at the time, were all getting advice from various places as to how to build armored trains. The nationalists getting Soviet advice, and as I said, the northerners, like the dogmeat general and the old marshal, had white Russian advisors. So they settled on the design of an armored train of 8 carriages, and in the lead would be a safety wagon. In the first wagon and the last wagon would always be a safety wagon with sleepers and more track, more rail on board. And then the second one would be an artillery wagon, followed by a machine gun wagon, an armoured engine, living quarters, another machine gun wagon, another artillery wagon, and then at the end another safety wagon. The armour on these trains that were built, there were 4 of them built. As I said, 4 of them would become known as, or classified as, the White Russian armoured trains in China, of China. And they were named the Shandong, the Taishan, the Yonghui, and the Henan. And armament was supposed to be 7 75mm guns and 24 heavy machine guns. And the wagon carried 2 infantry sections. A wagon carrying 2 infantry sections was often added. Now, I'm going to move this closer so we can look at what I've built. Okay. So, what I did... Oh, sorry, I got a bit distracted. Look, guys, you know I'm not the world's best communicator. I bought this in Chinatown for $15 about 10 years ago, and I bought 2 of them, and that's the basis, and then I converted them to this train. So getting back to armoured war on the rails in China. As I said, every warlord was trying to get them together, and the real golden age of armoured train warfare in China would be the Central Plains War in 1930, and that saw a lot of armoured train versus armoured train battles, railway torpedoes. It was a very, very... It was a war on the rails. Now, I built my armoured train for my campaign that I wanted to do, that I did do, the 1928 January 28th incident of 1932, the First Battle of Shanghai, and during that battle, armoured trains played a major part in the battle and in the fighting. So as I said, I got the old train. Armoured trains were present also at the Second Battle of Shanghai. And there are reports that I've read of them making an appearance in Nanjing, the Battle of Nanjing. But after that, because remember, this channel is about the War of Resistance. I could go on about Songchan and Dogmeat General, but there are many, many, many videos on that. Indeed, there are videos on the videos on that. So I'm going to stay away from that. I'm just going to keep this about my armoured train. And as I said, what I did was I got balsa wood. I scored out the pattern of the armoured plate, and then put the pinheads as rivets throughout the train, and the bits and pieces. As you know from this channel, I build from what I find, and I think they're part of an air conditioning unit that I stripped out of a house. Machine guns, just bits of plastic, 2 screw tops from an electrical, light socket, 2 screw covers from a light switch. I kept that from the original train, the guard, and just cut it off and extended it forward. So that was my lead wagon, or what would be the artillery wagon. This runs on what training for years is called HOO. So, you know, as I plan to expand on trains, on this, maybe not on this train, but on other trains, you know, you can get second-hand. I can get second-hand carriages and things like that, and wagons for further conversion, you know. So this was the engine, and I was really happy with that, with how it turned out. And I got a lot of advice from a mate Ian Faines, cheers Ian, on exactly how to make it dead right. And as I said again, it's balsa wood. What else? The top off a bottle of washing up liquid. Front is just I can't remember. Just things I find, you know. And that part there, the train was the original. It would have been lower, but I decided to cut it out and incorporate it back into the design, again on the advice of Ian Frank. So cheers, Ian. Then my machine gun wagon, and machine gun wagon again, balsa wood to build up the structure, and just bits and pieces. And I chose a very vivid camouflage pattern because I put so much work into the train. I wanted it to be really striking. And then the final artillery wagon with two machine guns covering the rear of the train. Now, if we look at other armoured trains, especially the armoured trains of Tianjin-Pukou, you will note that all of the cabs are circular. The wagons are rounded, and the firing turrets are stepped down. So Tianjin-Pukou had very nicely designed armoured trains. The Dogmeat General also had stepped down, but I didn't know how to do it at the time because I did this about 8 years ago, and you know, your skill grows with every model. But I still love this train. So hopefully we'll see this train if I ever do Battle of Nanjing. Sorry, not the Battle of Nanjing. Beijing 1937. Sorry, I've had a few beers. Yeah, these trains appear at the Battle of Beijing in 1937. Marco Polo Bridge. On the railway bridge, a Japanese tank starts to cross over the railway bridge, and an Chinese armoured train arrives and drives the Japanese armoured attack back. However, I've only read that in 2 sources, and in 2 references, and they both come from the same source. There's only one source that says that. But that's enough for a wargamer, isn't it? Now, as far as you look at the train station I picked up in Chinatown, and I think I paid $20 for it. It's a bit big, and don't worry about it being too European, because the contracts to build the railway in China were all handed out to Western companies, and they built Western style train stations. So you don't worry about your train station not looking Chinese. I've got to do a better paint job on this. I haven't used it in the game for a long time. And as I said, I plan to extend this train further or build another one. As I said though, the Japanese, as I didn't say, sorry, the Japanese did use armoured trains a lot in China in their drive. So in the future I may build a Japanese armoured train. I've been saying that for a long time though. What else does that say on armoured warfare in China, on war on the rails in China? Look, after the war, the nationalists and the communists both jumped back and got into service armoured trains and used them offensively. I think why the Chinese didn't use them offensively very much was just total Japanese air superiority. You know, and also there were so many bandits in the rear already that they were quite doing quite handy work, just doing security work. Yeah, the Chinese trains didn't do much against the Japanese, didn't appear very much. And this is only 4 carriages, and as I said there, an armoured train should be 8. But as a wargamer now, and I'll talk as a wargamer, on the table, you don't really, I don't think by the time you add your safety carriages at the back and make this 6 and you're still 2 carriages short, I just think it's too unwieldy. Even at this size during a game, it's very difficult to get the full firepower. Armoured trains are very difficult to get the best out of on a battlefield. As I said, I'm a rapid fire player, so there's no rules at all for armoured trains in rapid fire. But I've made my own, and they seem to work pretty well, although as I said, every time I get them out I do tweak them a little bit more. Now, something that's perturbing me about this is, I don't know if you can see that the pinheads are starting to get rusty. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, the pinheads are starting to get rusty, and I need to do a repaint. I didn't think that would happen because I keep this in a airtight plastic container. Okay, hope that helped you decide whether you want to build an armoured train or not. That was just my quick ramble for today. It was just far too hot to get into my shed. Alright guys, cheers, bye.